The one-gun conundrum. Across the vast spectrum of time, governments have wrestled with selecting the best long gun to equip their military and police forces. For countries with specific local needs and limited world commitments, the prospect is usually a fairly straightforward proposition. But for the world's major powers, it gets somewhat more complicated. Nowhere is this more evident than in the United States Army and Marine Corps. When you think of these services, you probably imagine some variant of the venerable old M16, and rightfully so. But is this assault rifle really the best the world's strongest superpower can do? And what of Russia and its fetish for anything Kalashnikov? Now don't get me wrong, both of these rifles have their respective strengths and weaknesses, but it is my philosophy that they are not the problem, but merely a symptom. The entire military mindset is wrong. With apologies to William Shakespeare, allow me to paraphrase Mark Antony in his play Julius Caesar. Friends, soldiers, countrymen, lend me your ears. I have come here to bury the one-gun paradigm, not to praise it. The stupid that men do is remembered after their deaths, but the good is often buried with them. It might as well be the same with Eugene Stoner. The noble McNamara told you that Stoner was too ambitious in design for wanting a chrome chamber. If that's true, it's a serious fault, and Stoner has paid seriously for it. But Congress must trust in McNamara and the others at the Pentagon, for McNamara is an honorable man. They are all honorable men. Yet I have come here to speak at Stoner's congressional hearing. He was my friend, and he was faithful and just to me, and Armalite. But McNamara says chroming was too expensive, and McNamara is an honorable man. He brought many casualties home to America, whose fates may have differed, if only for a cleaning kit, stick powder, and a gram of chrome. The problems with the M16 in its early days were largely the fault of thinking that was so centralized it would have done a Politburo member proud. Men who had long been removed from the battlefield made bad decisions based on tradition, misconceptions, prejudices, politics, logistics, and that most despicable of all enemies, cost. But the biggest failing was the idea that the entire military should be equipped with just one type of gun, able to assume all roles, a mentality that still permeates the halls of the Pentagon. The Army is now fielding its third major ammunition type for the M16 system, yet it has failed to find a suitably effective round for it. Indeed, the latest ammo, the M855A1, has a propensity for destroying feed chambers and shortening the service life, while providing very little improvement in accuracy, penetration, or lethality. Shh. This is not the fault of the current issue M4 carbine, which is good for many mission profiles, or the M16A2 rifle, which fills other mission needs. It is really the shortcomings of the 5.56mm round, which to date has proven incapable of providing sufficient range, accuracy, penetration, and lethality all at the same time, regardless of how much powder is stuffed in it or which bullet design is selected. Despite this Achilles heel, the AR platform remains one of the most versatile in the world. Because of its modularity, the upper and lower receivers are easily replaced or altered into a dazzling array of barrel lengths, calibers, sights, stocks, and magazines. But it doesn't stop there. An entire cottage industry of accessories can be fitted to the AR via Picatinny rails, M-lock, or key mod attachment points. How can such modularity be taken advantage of in the real world? Imagine this scenario. A U.S. Army patrol is shot at from 400 yards by an enemy on a rooftop made of brick and mortar, a particularly tough obstacle for the 5.56mm round. After a few seconds, the shooter starts receiving fire that is knocking huge chunks of brick and mortar off of his perch. But what is happening, he wonders? The 5.56 should have lost so much energy after traveling such a distance that it is ineffectual against brick. After a minute, the firing subsides, so Jihad Johnny decides to take a quick peek. He peers over the ledge. One muffled pop rings out, and it's lights out for this wannabe Wahhabi warrior. What just happened, you might ask? While some squad members return covering fire with their issue M4s, the squad leader tasked two of his men to swap out their upper receivers with 6.8 SOCOM conversions that were stashed away in their rucksacks. While they laid down a barrage of highly accurate and effective suppressive fire, this designated squad sharpshooter awaited an opportunity to use his suppressed, heavy-barreled scoped AR to finish the job. This sort of versatility, while not very practical for extended patrols, does allow a unit commander to plan day patrols that employ the best caliber and barrel mix for the given mission, be it defense, patrol, attack, or policing operations. The mission planner will be better able to account for likely engagement distances and terrain features, such as open ground, urban or suburban setting, jungle, swamp, mountains, or woodlands. If this sounds a bit far-fetched, keep in mind that during World War II we fielded no less than 11 different types of individual long arms in 4 different calibers, many of which were used simultaneously in a rifle squad, despite the lack of ammunition or magazine compatibility. By comparison, is carrying a few extra pounds of conversion equipment unrealistic, especially when it is mission-driven? Or do better platforms and ammunition options exist? Aside from the USA, 2 other countries that excel in designing and fielding military small arms are Israel and Russia. So let's take a quick peek at what they've been up to. When the small country of Israel decided that they needed something like the AK-47 to replace their FNFALs, they designed the Galil, a truly excellent but heavy improvement on the basic AK concept, chambered in 5.56 NATO. Though the Galil has since been phased out, the 5.56mm round remains standard issue. So what about Russia? When Ivan saw what the 5.56mm round could do, they redesigned their venerable and rugged 7.62x39 AK to use a similar but slightly less capable 5.45mm high-velocity bullet, which is now their primary cartridge, and the caliber chosen for all future design projects as well. In other words, the major players, including China and Europe, long ago jumped on the small caliber high-velocity bandwagon. So what is America's problem? We know that the 5.56x45 is far from perfect, yet everyone seems to have embraced the design philosophy behind it. In a word, the one-gun philosophy. Okay, that's 4 words, but you get my point. You see, America has global commitments as well as a very diverse local environment. Yet the military seems fixated on issuing just one gun and one bullet to serve everywhere, and that's a mistake. The hard, simple fact is this: there can be no one super gun that can do it all. That critter just doesn't exist. Well, maybe if you buy from Zorg Industries. Essentially, the AR platform can be pretty much any gun you need it to be. The question is whether or not the military is open to the idea of employing it as a multi-caliber platform. Is the flexibility that local commanders need to best accomplish the mission worth the additional complexity, weight, and expense? Well, why not ask them? Well, I'm Captain Max with Fun with Guns. Hope you guys enjoyed this and be safe.